Many people, for the first time in their lives, are asking serious questions. Where in the Bible does it say this or that? And what's coming? Are we in the end times? And what about America? And so forth. Very basic questions. And so we thought it would be useful to try to cover these materials from a ground floor, from scratch, and we'll try not to jump into too much Bibleese or jargon that tends to puncture our conversation so frequently. We're going to do this in 4 sessions. This first session, of course, is the introduction. And we're going to deal with 2 issues. We're going to try to talk about the nature of prophecy. What are we dealing with when we talk prophecy? And secondly, how sure can we be? Aren't there theories and ideas like this throughout the ages? Hasn't everyone always felt that they were approaching the end times? Where do we come off being so certain that we're approaching an important period of time? So that's the first session. The first thing we're going to talk about is the nature of time. We take time for granted. It all goes back to some basic fundamentals that most of us may not have thought much about. Let me take you back to high school geometry or trigonometry. If we have a triangle and we add up the angles in that triangle, it adds up to how much? 180 degrees, right on. And no matter what kind of a triangle we draft, if we add up the angles, it always adds up to 180 degrees. How many of you learned that rule in school? Sure, okay. Well, suppose we go out together in a large field nearby with a transit, and we lay out a very large triangle, and we add up the angles of that triangle, and it adds up to more than 180 degrees. What would you conclude? That Chuck screwed up again, huh? No, what we've encountered is the curvature of the earth. You see, this little rule that we all learned in school is only true for a universe of 2 dimensions. That's why it's called plane trigonometry or plane geometry. And if you have more than 180 degrees, it implies that you've encountered a convex curvature. In fact, if you take a course in spherical navigation, or in navigation, you'll include in that course some spherical trigonometry in which you can have a triangle with 90 degrees in each corner because it's in a 3rd dimension. Now, if you have a triangle with less than 180 degrees, you're in a hyperbolic paraboloid, but I don't think that's ever concerned any of us here, so I'll just move on, but I throw that in for those of you that are mathematically oriented. This is the kind of insight that caused Dr. Albert Einstein, as he was grappling with the nature of space and time itself, to come up with a special theory of relativity in 1905, in which he realized that length, mass, and velocity and time are relative to the observers measuring them. But he generalized that in 1915 to the general theory of relativity. And what's important about that to us here is that it resolves the fact that there's no distinction between time and space. In fact, a physicist will always speak of space-time. You and I speak of space and time separately, but the general theory of relativity ties them together. In fact, Einstein recognized that we live in not 3, but 4 dimensions. And this is no longer just a theory. It's been confirmed over 14 ways to better than 19 decimals. It's today a basic insight of science.